girl has just confirmed her feelings for the guy she likes. Unexpectedly, only a short time later, the boy suddenly left without a word of goodbye and died for 5 years. As a movie enthusiast, Guillaume watched countless movies from childhood to adulthood. The videotape rental store near his home was the best paradise for him. Influenced by classic movies, Guillaume cherished a dream. He wanted to become a movie actor. To fulfill his dream, Guillaume went to the film crew to audition. The results of the audition are still unknown, but on that day, Guillaume met a girl named Mubi. Mubi and cinema are homophonic in Korean. A strange name. What's even more bizarre is that, as if there was an invisible bond, Guillaume fell in love with Mubi. Likewise, Mubi also has a special connection with cinema. Previously, Mubi's father was a person who worked in the film industry. Because he devoted himself to filming, his father did not care about taking care of his daughter. Therefore, since childhood, Mubi always lied to adults that her father had died. For her, a busy father is like a deceased person. But then, her father actually left this world. After the funeral, Mubi quietly watched the film that her father participated in producing. In his heart, he only felt sad and ridiculous. Currently, Mubi is working in the film crew, but not to remember my dad or the movies. It's to prove how stupid it is to trade a whole life just for the sake of cinema. It's just that Mubi didn't expect that she would meet Guillaume again, a person who perseveres with cinema in this world of cinema. Guillaume passed the audition despite only receiving mass roles, but with a positive personality, he is very happy. He always tries to seize the opportunity to express himself in front of the camera, and also give opinions and direct the director's work. It is the most prominent existence in the whole film crew. But recently, in Guillaume's eyes, there is another beautiful scene in addition to cinema, which is Mubi. In the crew, Guillaume always pays attention to every movement of the Mubi. Mubi held the props, and every moment, Guillaume recorded everything. To approach the girl he likes, the thick-faced Guillaume, taking the initiative to talk to her, he jumped up and asked all kinds of things. However, on Mubi's face, there was always a cold and distant expression. In her eyes, Guillaume was a person who didn't know anything, will wear the same clothes as the main actor, will not know how big or small to talk to the director. Even the crew often talked behind their backs about Guillaume's thick face. Guillaume didn't know what Mubi thought of him at all, and took the initiative to help her with the props. Mubi took the opportunity to speak his heart, frankly saying that my personality is weird, not as good as Guillaume's puppy personality. I hope Guillaume doesn't come to bother her anymore. But Guillaume was overly optimistic, given that if Mubi wasn't interested in me, I definitely wouldn't say the word puppy. Therefore, he secretly vowed to pursue Mubi more intensely. On the contrary, the Mubi was full of sorrow. Complaining to my mother recently, I encountered a troublesome person like my father. Mom smiled softly, Dad looked troublesome, but the days with him were very interesting. In the evening, Guillaume and his brother watched The Comedy King of Chao Jingji together, and talking about how I fell in love with Mubi at first sight. Brother worried Guillaume was only momentarily impulsive. It's like when he was a kid, he discovered a good videotape. But Guillaume's eyes lit up. Meeting a Mubi is more interesting than watching an attractive videotape. The next day on the set, because the Mubi asked not to speak, Guillaume childishly threw his foot in her way and fell. Mubi knew that Guillaume didn't have a line today. Guillaume was happy again, thinking that Mubi was secretly interested in him. During the break, Mubi was careful, deliberately choosing a time when Guillaume was not present to eat alone. Unexpectedly, as soon as he stopped his head, Guillaume was wearing a show costume and was sitting across from him. On the set, it was as sticky as a finished disc, and in the evening the filming ended. Guillaume followed Mubi all the way, saying he wanted to protect her. As expected, Mubi was cold, and immediately pulled out a self-defense electric trigger, flatly refused Guillaume's escort. Not long after, Guillaume went to a wedding as a part-time MC. Unexpectedly, he saw a Mubi holding a camera appear in front of him. Suddenly, a sense of fate struck. Knowing that Mubi accepted the part-time wedding filming, Guillaume immediately began to imagine the future of the two. Looking forward to working with Mubi to set up a team to film weddings, make money together, pursue dreams together. Not unexpectedly, Mubi categorically refused. A few days later, in the car of the film crew, Mubi accidentally continued to sleep. Guillaume was like a rhythmic boy, capturing Mubi's dreamy, sleepy face. When working, he didn't even forget to brag in front of the movie. After the end of filming that day because of the desire to buy corn, Guillaume missed the return bus of the film crew. Unexpectedly, when he turned his head to look, Mubi also missed the bus. Guillaume once again exclaimed, "It seems that me and Mubi are indeed destined to be determined." In the evening, the two sat at the bus stop eating corn and waiting for the bus. In the meantime, Guillaume began to dance again, trying to get acquainted, ask her what kind of movies she wants to make in the future. Mubi replied that she wanted to make irreparable romantic films. Speaking of himself, Guillaume's eyes were sincere. As for the future, he really didn't have too many thoughts. He merely liked movies, that's all. Mubi treated people. Guillaume's words were exactly the same as what her father had said many years ago. On the last empty bus, Guillaume naturally sat down next to Mubi. Mubi had a dream related to her father, waking up to tears that were already streaming down her face. Seeing this scene, Guillaume didn't ask much, and his intuition told him, the girl next door must have a past that is like a movie. Not long after, a reporter came to the film crew for an interview, recognized Mubi. It is said that Mubi works on the set to inherit his father's will. Mubi coldly interrupted the reporter, reminding him not to make it up. Guillaume also saw the image of a highbrowed Mubi at this time. A few days later, the film's closing party took place. During the party, Guillaume noticed that Mubi had left her seat, and without saying a word, she followed her out. Outside in the falling snow, Guillaume said mischievous words after hearing Mubi smile for the first time. Guillaume didn't understand Mubi's constant coldness. Mubi explained that happy people often leave first, to avoid getting hurt. She never reveals her feelings to anyone. But Guillaume was about to smash his head against the wall, trying to open the door of Mubi's heart. Wanting to use his secret to exchange, he hoped that the Mubi would accept him. The moment the words ended, time seemed to stop. Unexpectedly, in the next unexpected moment, Mubi gave Guillaume a kiss. Guillaume's eyes burned, and he responded with a warm kiss. He liked the girl who pretended to be stubborn in front of him. Starting from this kiss, Mubi couldn't understand her heart even more. As a child, she liked small animals would show love to poor people. But Guillaume was neither small nor pitiful, just a strange boy. After a passionate kiss, taking the muscles that had been drinking at the party, Guillaume asked Mubi to ride a bicycle for him. Faced with Guillaume's incessant bouncing, Mubi helplessly had to help him lead the car. Along the way, Guillaume continued to talk non-stop, but Mubi was confused. Try to see clearly your heart that is beating constantly. Unfortunately, this was arranged by fate. Not long after, Guillaume left the crew without saying a word. Since then, he has never contacted Mubi again. Mubi's dignity is like sitting on a roller coaster. From initial anxiety to anger later, it eventually turns into frustration. The senior director saw Mubi's confidant, advised her to rely on her work on the set to forget about the person in her heart. Mubi understood what he meant, and from then on it was considered that Guillaume was dead, and switched to focusing on filming. Try to forget the guest in your life. What Mubi doesn't know is that Guillaume left because his brother ran into a car crash and fell into a coma. In order to take care of his brother who lives dependently, Guillaume has to leave without saying goodbye. After the brother regained consciousness, the two brothers faced rent again. Hospital fees, living expenses, medicines. Pressured by life, Guillaume is forced to put his dreams aside, forced to give up his status as an actor, switch to writing film criticism to make money. He became a film critic on the sidelines. The time of permeation has passed, 5 years have passed. In 5 years, Mubi's life has had landslide changes. Under the tutelage of the senior director, Mubi became the new director, filming his first film. At the premiere, after 5 years, Mubi met Guillaume again. Guillaume seemed to have never left, asking questions related to the film to Mubi from the audience. He asked if Mubi was filming a romantic movie with no way to save it. Why put the element of tragedy in a romantic movie? Mubi was still the same as before, not answering directly, just nodding his head and saying the right thing. However, faced with Guillaume after years of separation, Mubi's heart unconsciously vibrated again. In the evening, Mubi deliberately searched for the premiere video. Rewatching the scene where Guillaume asked him questions, his mood was indescribably confused. She had tried to forget Guillaume, trying to bury the past deep in her heart. But when the person in her heart reappeared, she realized that all her efforts were in vain. Similarly, during the past 5 years, Guillaume has never forgotten Mubi. One day, Guillaume happened to meet Mubi on the road and hurriedly got out of the car to meet her. But at that time, news came from his brother's hospital room. Guillaume was forced to return to the hospital. After taking care of his brother's business, Guillaume thought about contacting Mubi, but Mubi's phone couldn't be reached. To force herself to forget about Guillaume, Mubi deliberately did not eat the corn her mother cooked. After a lot of trouble, he finally blocked Guillaume's phone number. At the night table, Guillaume and his friends talked about attending the premiere. For Mubi's movie, he couldn't suppress his curiosity. The day after the premiere, Guillaume went to see the director who had given him the opportunity to play the role of a hit. The director took him to the old office of the film crew. During the conversation, referring to Mubi, who is currently very successful, Guillaume just smiled faintly. After 5 years of separation, he and Mubi have their own lives, different circumstances. Maybe it will not be possible to go back to the way it used to be. In the evening, his brother seemed to see through Guillaume's confidant. In the past, when the two brothers watched movies together, Guillaume always talked a lot, said all kinds of things. But now, Guillaume became silent, and the smile on his face was much less. Guillaume tried to bully his brother, lying that he was just more mature. The next day, Mubi attended an exhibition of the work of the senior director, unexpectedly meeting Guillaume again. Strangely, Guillaume's appearance at this time was like a traveler who had gone through many hardships, carrying fatigue, getting rid of the insecurity. Under the sun, Guillaume and Mubi looked at each other with 4 eyes. Then he slowly walked towards the girl he had vibrated and longed for. Unexpectedly, just as he was about to speak, he was interrupted by Mubi's colleague. A colleague found out that the impolite young man had questioned Mubi at the premiere. Hearing this, Mubi hurriedly found an opportunity to drag her colleague away. When the senior's work was shown, Guillaume sat not far from the Mubi in the back. His eyes unconsciously looked at the person in front of him. After the screening ended, Mubi hurriedly left, only to find out that she had forgotten the car keys. Upset, Guillaume chased after her, handing her the keys to the Mubi car she had dropped. Looking at the key in his hand, Mubi couldn't help but remember what happened 5 years ago, and began to ask Guillaume urgently, "I want to know why Guillaume left 5 years ago without saying goodbye." Sick, someone died or was arrested, Mubi came up with all sorts of reasons for Guillaume, but Guillaume shook his head and said no. Mubi was disappointed, thinking that Guillaume only saw himself as a joke. Ask him never to appear in her life again in the future. After all, directors and film critics are inherently enemies. The next day, Mubi came home and saw that the house opposite had a new person moving in, and the neighbor was renovating the house. Mubi walked over and asked, but when the person turned around, Mubi saw that the neighbor was Guillaume. Guillaume was both surprised and secretly excited. It seemed that the fate between him and Mubi was not over yet. Thinking so, Guillaume was still as playful as before, naturally waving his hand towards Mubi. From now on, they are old acquaintances who meet all day long, enemies. After becoming Guillaume's neighbor, Mubi only felt more and more frustrated in her heart. Guillaume gave rice cakes to each neighbor as a gift, but deliberately did not give them to Mubi. Every time he met Mubi on the bus, Guillaume would pretend not to see him, and then hurriedly get off the bus. When jogging to meet Mubi, Guillaume will be like a child, bound to run faster than her. Facing this idiot, Mubi was so angry that she wanted to explode. It seems that in the past 5 years, Guillaume's ability to cause trouble has reached a new level. But for Guillaume, all those childish actions were unspeakable suffering. Mubi has ordered Guillaume to appear in front of him, but now Guillaume not only appeared, but also moved in across from her house. Guillaume did not know how to explain this fateful coincidence. So, before you find a reason to justify yourself, he can only use these childish tricks to avoid Mubi. But gradually, while avoiding it, Guillaume always discovered other sides of Mubi. Sometimes, Mubi will play circle games with the kids in the park, will actively carry things to help the elderly on the road. As it turned out, Mubi looked cold as ice, but was actually an enthusiastic and kind girl. Mubi also always silently observes Guillaume. Guillaume was indeed a fool, even learning to play a circle game with the kids. To help the old ladies carry things in front of the Mubi, in less than a few days, he has been close to the elderly people in the neighborhood. One day, Mubi spotted Guillaume sneaking towards his house. Immediately, Mubi was worried and confused about what to do. Unexpectedly, when he opened the door, the person standing outside the door was another guy. The boy named Jung-hoo is Mubi's childhood friend. As a child, Jung-hoo was always bullied by his friends. At that time, it was Mubi who helped many times. Now, Jung-hoo has returned from the United States, and the person he misses most is Mubi, the older sister who protected him. Guillaume was extremely upset, and when he saw Jung-hoo hugging Mubi just now, he was secretly jealous. In the afternoon, Jung-hoo took the initiative to look for Guillaume. The house Guillaume is staying in, formerly his home. Jung-hoo wants to find his childhood toy box in the house. Guillaume deliberately just wandered around, making Jung-hoo struggle to search. In the evening, Guillaume and his brother held a housewarming party. During the party, he pulled his best friend aside to confide. He wants to avoid the Mubi, but the Mubi's actions are so outstanding he can't be surprised. In addition, Jung-hoo's sudden appearance made Guillaume only feel extremely depressed in his heart. The friend advised Guillaume, if he wanted to resume his old love with Mubi, he should at least apologize. Clearly explain why the old days left without saying goodbye. If you don't continue like this, when will it end? Mubi is also remembering Guillaume, discovering that Guillaume has written reviews for films by many directors. Except for her films, Mubi immediately felt dissatisfied but tried to be strong. She didn't care. In the evening, Mubi goes to a bar to drink wine and meets a strange girl named Joa here. Joa is lamenting, blaming her ex-lover for breaking up after 7 years of love. In a drunken rage, Mubi listens to Joa confide, and also tells Joa her story. Leaving the bar, Mubi walked home drunk. At the same time, Guillaume noticed this scene, following behind to protect her along the way. But unexpectedly, the nearby people thought he was a stalker, called the police, and brought Guillaume into the station. Guillaume explained everything in front of the police, but the police insisted on not believing it. Fortunately, at the crucial moment, the Mubi showed up to clarify everything. After sobering up, Mubi finally asked the question in her heart. I don't know why Guillaume didn't apologize for the disappearance in the past. Hearing this, Guillaume looked at her sincerely, said 3 words of apology, but still did not clearly explain why that year was lost without a trace. Mubi was still angry, asking Guillaume if he had missed any of the film criticisms. Guillaume was evil, not understanding the meaning of Mubi's words. Mubi was even more frustrated, saying bluntly that this neighborhood would henceforth be handed over to Guillaume. Anyway, after the movie was filming, she rarely went home. From now on, the two of them don't need to be troubled when they meet each other anymore. Mubi's new movie is in the script preparation stage. After meeting the screenwriter, Mubi found out that the author of the script this time was Joa, the person she met at the bar last night. Faced with the script being chosen, Joa refused. Mubi guessed the reason because the script content was adapted from Joa's true love story. Joa thinks that putting his true story on the big screen is a betrayal of his ex. The deeper reason is that she and her ex still have feelings for each other. Guillaume was still a child, seeing that Jung-hoo often went to the Mubi's house. Guillaume is like a jealous guy, constantly asking about the relationship between Jung-hoo and Mubi. To find information, he also helps Jung-hoo find a precious toy box. As for Mubi, Guillaume is no longer as evasive as before. In the morning, Mubi came out of the house and found Guillaume standing at the same bus with him and got on the same bus. Mubi thought that Guillaume was following him, and there was a little joy in his heart. But when he got off the bus, Guillaume immediately continued to sit on the bus and left. Mubi became angry. Unexpectedly, Guillaume was sitting in front of her desk drinking coffee. As it turned out, Guillaume was the magazine reporter who came to interview Mubi today. Guillaume took the initiative to make amends, hoping that after he apologized last night, the relationship between him and Mubi would improve. Mubi's stubborn temperament is still the same as before. Just a simple apology to repair the relationship is too easy. So, after the end of the interview, Guillaume extended the invitation. He wanted to go to the movies with Mubi as his new apology. Mubi categorically refused. She didn't want to let this guy benefit so much. In the evening, Mubi heard a noise outside the window and looked out curiously. Turned out that Guillaume was showing a movie in the yard. Realizing that Guillaume was using a special way to apologize to him, Mubi muttered for a while, then went out into the hallway, watching a movie with Guillaume from a distance. Considering that the two of them had watched the movie together, Mubi's feelings for Guillaume could not be hidden. When she got home, she hurriedly flipped through the magazine, wanting to read Guillaume's interview about her. Fortunately, Guillaume wrote very well about Mubi and her film, Mubi felt Guillaume knew it too. A few days later, Mubi attended the premiere of his senior's film, and was pulled by Guillaume to sit down next to him. Guillaume is still as playful as always. This is the second time they have seen a movie together. After the end, Guillaume wants to have dinner with Mubi, but Mubi pretends to be cold, asking Guillaume to keep his distance from him. When he turned his head to look, Guillaume was really obedient, and after listening to the phone, he hurriedly left. The call came from the hospital, informing Guillaume that his brother did not come to the examination today. Guillaume was worried about his brother's recovery, but his brother thought about Guillaume, worried that his brother could not bear the high medical costs. Guillaume told his brother not to worry about anything else and asked his brother to go to the hospital on time, because of the medical expenses. Recently, Guillaume partnered with a media outlet. This media outlet took Guillaume's talent very seriously, planning to turn him into a popular film critic. Since then, Guillaume began to regularly appear on programs to promote himself. The film reviews also became sharper. Mubi has noticed this. Recently, Guillaume has almost become a popular film critic on the internet. With a deep writing style, gets straight to the point. He even caused dissatisfaction among some netizens. Director Ma, who appreciated Guillaume, reminded him that film critics must never cross the line, otherwise it will create too many enemies, and the audience will no longer support. Guillaume remained the same, saying that he was just doing the job of a film critic. But soon something bad happened. A director who was criticized by Guillaume tried to recuperate and was taken to the hospital. Guillaume went to the hospital to visit the director, but was recognized by the media. He was surrounded and quickly pushed to the top of the wave of public opinion. Mubi saw that the news on the internet was full of criticism. Mang not Guillaume said that he almost used a pen to kill the director. Mubi is very worried about Guillaume, who is also interested in him, and there is also a ghost director. In order to iron Guillaume, the ghost director invited him to drink, advised him not to pay attention to the comments of netizens. What surprised Guillaume was that Mubi also joined the team that bulldozed him. While grilling meat together, Mubi tries not to touch Guillaume's pain. At this time, another director appeared. Coincidentally, Mubi has also written a negative review of this person's film. Therefore, facing Guillaume, the director did not have a pleasant expression. The most scolding Guillaume thick-faced. Along with that, criticizing him is the cause of the other director's cultivation. In the face of the most scolding, Guillaume did not justify a word. Mubi couldn't take it anymore, so he dragged Guillaume away. Guillaume felt hurt, thinking that Mubi was just like everyone else, thinking that he was the one who used the pen to kill people. Mubi felt very disappointed. She had never thought of criticizing Guillaume. I just want to be by his side when he is sad, say words of comfort, soothe his mood. But what about Guillaume, always concerned only with his own pain, without ever caring about other people's feelings? Guillaume was stunned. Mubi's words were completely accurate. He was too selfish. After scolding Guillaume, Mubi goes to the hospital to visit the monastic director. That person was Mubi's father's friend when he was alive, and he was also a senior that Mubi respected. Fortunately, the director has recovered his health, explaining to Mubi, this incident was followed by the media. He had no intention of cultivating and had absolutely nothing to do with Guillaume's film criticism. In addition, the director revealed, Guillaume visits him every day. Pay attention to the Guillaume bag left in the hospital room. Mubi went to the hospital lobby and found Guillaume sitting alone with a sad expression. Seeing Mubi, Guillaume's eyes lit up again. He told Mubi that he was wait for good to happen. Just then, Mubi sat down next to Guillaume. She could no longer hide her feelings for Guillaume. Mubi continued to sleep in exhaustion, looking at the sleeping face of the person he liked. Guillaume smiled softly. It seems that every time he has bad luck, the good thing that comes after it is always Mubi. A few days ago, during heavy rain, the windshield wipers of the Guillaume car broke down. When he was struggling to fix the rain wipers in the rain, it was also Mubi who came over, took the cover for him and helped him fix the wipers. Guillaume believes that having experienced so many bad things, Mubi will definitely be his greatest luck. After a while, Mubi woke up to find that Guillaume had left. Filled with disappointment, Mubi prepares to go home, only to find Guillaume a fool again. The old man hurriedly ran over, and saw that Guillaume looked so pitiful. Mubi immediately grabbed his hand. Guillaume held his body, and then, his gaze was as sincere as before. He wants to like Mubi again. Faced with Guillaume's seemingly joking confession, Moby was silent for a moment, thinking about Guillaume's unserious actions over the years. 5 years ago on the set, Moby made it clear, ask Guillaume not to help you to avoid being spoken out by others. Moby thought Guillaume would stay away from him. I didn't expect Guillaume to remember for long, sneaking the last cake of the film crew into the Moby bag. In the crew's car, the deputy director slept right on the seat, making Moby unable to sleep. Guillaume saw this and switched places with Moby. Moby fell asleep while working on the set, and Guillaume put her coat on. When the film crew stopped filming because of a snowstorm but forgot to inform Moby, it was also Guillaume who waited for Moby all night, saying that he wanted to take her back. Moby once pretended to ask why he treated him so well. Guillaume did not hide it. His pure eyes frankly confessed his love because he liked Moby. Because of this seemingly childish innocence of Guillaume, Moby used to vibrate. But now, facing Guillaume's second confession in 5 years, Moby kicked him again, asking him to stop talking nonsense. After being refused, Guillaume stayed at the door for a long time, staring at the Moby house opposite. Think about how Moby accepts his feelings. Just as the pensioner came out of the Moby's house, Guillaume pulled the pensioner aside, asked again, told the retiree not to come to look for Moby anymore, just come and play with me. But the retiree was mischievous, insisting on not giving Guillaume a chance. He also ran to Moby's house to eat right in front of him. In the evening, Guillaume went out to work. His brother had difficulty walking, accidentally dropped the stick under the manhole cover. Moby walked by, helping his brother pick up the stick. This is not the first time Moby has helped his brother Guillaume. The other day, a man on a motorbike hit his brother but changed white to black. Asked his brother to compensate for the damage to the motorcycle. At that time, it was also Moby who stood up for his brother. Talking made the man on the motorbike bow his head and apologize. His brother knew that Moby was the girl his brother liked. Moby talks about Guillaume, saying that Guillaume is completely different from his brother. The older brother is noisy, and the younger brother is too lively and naughty. People who behave like that always seem to have a careless attitude. His brother explained that Guillaume's laxity was actually a way of protecting himself. Because the burden on her shoulders is so great, she can only show disinterest to relieve the pressure in her heart. His brother's words hit Moby's black heart. In the evening, under the arrangement of the ghost director, Guillaume came to apologize to the director for whom he had been guilty, and the two seemed to have removed the hostility. After getting drunk, Guillaume wants to contact Moby, but Moby still hasn't stopped him. After a moment of sadness, Guillaume woke up at home. It was discovered that he was wearing a woman's woolen jacket. Through his brother's account, Guillaume learned what happened last night. After failing to call Moby, Guillaume drove to Moby's door. The whole person hung on the gate of her house, constantly humidifying the intention to tell Moby to unblock and kill Moby without being sad. As a result, because he used too much force, he pulled off Moby's jacket. At this moment, Moby came to the house opposite, reclaiming his coat from Guillaume. Don't forget to warn him not to lie anymore. Guillaume nodded obediently, realizing that Moby hadn't called the police last night for his rude behavior. So his eyes lit up again, believing that Moby definitely didn't hate him so much. He planned again, outlined a strategy, and researched the pursuit of Moby. Today, Guillaume went to see his two best friends, Sijun and Zua, accidentally discovering that Zua's script is about to be filmed into a movie. The co-director is Moby. After much thought, Zua decided to cooperate with Moby, bring your true love story to the big screen. To make the story perfect, Zua turns to her ex-lover Sijun, hoping that Sijun will compose the soundtrack. Sijun loves music very much, calls himself a genius, and opens an office that always strives for his dreams. But over the years he has not achieved anything. So far he is still just an unknown musician. As an ex-lover, Zua is extremely confident in Sijun's talent. Sijun thinks that Zua is because he sees that he is far away, is pitying him, and confides in Guillaume. Guillaume became a well-known film critic, and Zua's work was brought to the big screen. But he was the only one, still begging for money from his family, and his dream was even more hopeless. Coming to this country, he did not know whether to give up this perhaps unrealistic aspiration or not. At that time, it was Guillaume who encouraged Sijun to persevere a little more. The seeds of dreams may have sprouted easily in the dark, motivated by the desire in the heart. When Zua came to find Sijun for the second time, Sejun agreed to cooperate. He wanted to hit it all. Even self-esteem does not want to accept alms from ex-lovers. Although he said that, in fact, Sejun still hasn't completely let go of his self-esteem. After deciding to collaborate, he still didn't want to discuss the tracks directly with Zua. After learning that the director of the film is Mubi, Guillaume acts as a mediator, advising the two to reconcile. Sejun was asked not to be arbitrary, he had to complete this soundtrack well. Guillaume was so serious just because he wanted to hear about Mubi's recent situation from his two best friends. In addition to attracting two friends, Guillaume has also been particularly enthusiastic about Zhonghu lately. Invite him to my house to see the precious childhood tape. At this time, Zhonghu revealed that Mubi's father is an avid movie lover. In the past, when he was alive, an outdoor film festival was held every year in the residential area. This year, Mubi's father's old friend intends to revive this tradition. This film festival is even more special. The film screened is directed by Mubi. Seeing the leaflet of the Summer Night Film Festival, Guillaume smiled, intended to create romance for Mubi at the film festival. On the day of preparing for the film festival, Mubi was surprised to find that Guillaume appeared as an employee again. Busy at the scene that night, the projection was hung up. Residents of the neighborhood come to the lawn to watch Mubi's movies. Among the audience, Guillaume was the most serious and focused. Looking at Guillaume's gaze, Mubi remembered her father. Dad's eyes when watching movies in the old days were the same as Guillaume's. There are no miscellaneous tasks showing a pure love for cinema. However, in the past, my father always put cinema first. Each time it makes Mubi hopeful and then disappointed. Now facing Guillaume, Mubi is afraid of being disappointed again and leaves. But this time, Guillaume grabbed her hand. For Mubi, he had never joked. Mubi's eyes were steadfast. 5 years ago, Guillaume had made her hope and tremble. But the end result is an emptiness. Guillaume heard this and changed his tone seriously. 5 years ago, it was Mubi who took the initiative to kiss him. Why do you keep denying your feelings? Mubi couldn't answer, and was about to turn to leave. But Guillaume hugged her again. This time, he wants Mubi to see his feelings clearly and also wants to be the one who takes the initiative. After the hug, Guillaume tries to call Mubi, only to discover that Mubi has unblocked him. Starting from this hug, Guillaume believes that his life will definitely be a romantic movie. Mubi also remembers the hug that night. Her mother saw Mubi's thoughts, knew that her daughter always liked to be strong, obviously liked it but said she hated it. Advised the Mubi to be brave and accept, not to let the boy face suffer for you. Recently, Jung heard from director Ma that in the film industry there are many cases of overwork. Mubi's father died in the past for this reason as well. To make Mubi less tired, Jung decides to create many chance encounters with her. The first chance meeting was to eat delicious sausage pizza together at Junction 3. The second time, Jung dragged Mubi back to the house to eat barbecue, chatting happily with her. Recently, Jung invited Mubi to snack at a convenience store, sitting with her watching old movies in the yard, pretending to happen to appear on the path Mubi passed by every night. And tonight, Jung made another appointment with a Mubi, and tomorrow afternoon remember to meet by chance at the takoyaki stall at the end of the street. Such chance encounters Jung wanted to repeat countless times. Reading Jung's goodnight message, Mubi smiled happily. Before the chance meeting at the takoyaki counter, Mubi still went to Sejun's music studio as usual. I saw Sejun and Zua locked in the room again. The night before, Zua went to Sejun again, but nothing happened to Sejun, talking to him like a friend. Unexpectedly, Sejun cornered Zua into the corner of the wall to forcibly kiss. Zua misunderstood. Tuong Sejun hated him. Jokingly led him. Sejun confessed his feelings again. 5 years ago, Zua said goodbye is breakup, now it says to appear is to appear. Completely unconcerned about his feelings, he still didn't know what to do with this troubled relationship. After saying his thoughts, Sejun and Zua's relationship became awkward. After that, Zua went to Sejun's studio, and the Sejun soundtrack composed the preliminary melody. Zua didn't comment but was deep in thought, suggesting that Sejun change the lead singer to a male. Sejun went to the gym to try it out, but because the door was broken, he accidentally locked himself and Zua inside. When he was locked up, Zua mentioned the female singer that Sejun chose. Seeing that singer just now, she said with a mysterious expression that there was an unforgettable name in Sejun's heart. Zua is jealous of the singer's relationship with Sejun, who reveals that the song is about him and Zua's story. Borrowing this theme, The two of them both remembered the first time they confessed their love to each other. Time passes accidentally, but the stories they have experienced together, their feelings for each other, they have never forgotten. Soon, Jung came to the studio and opened the door for them. The time to meet Mubi is coming. With anticipation, Jung buys a small bouquet of chrysanthemums, but on the way he meets his brother again. Vehicles passed on the road, but the brother didn't seem to notice. Jung hurriedly pulled his brother aside, and after Zuiyu, he asked with a roll of eyes in his heart, whether it's a car accident 5 years ago or Sij having a problem tonight. Whenever faced with these disasters, his brother does not seem to be worried or insecure. Halfway through speaking, Jung stopped. He was very afraid of the situation as he had predicted. Worrying about his brother is not that he has a random accident, but that he no longer wants to live. Because of her brother, Jung missed an appointment with Mubi, causing her to wait in her hometown of Takoyaki all night. Mubi returned home disappointed. Now she realized that her mother's words were not wrong. Facing Jung, she really always showed strength. The next morning, Jung wakes up to find his brother sleeping on his bed like a child. After forgiving her brother, Jung composes a message, intending to explain to Mubi about missing last night's appointment. Unexpectedly, at this time, Mubi pressed the door, hoping that Jung would accompany her to a place. Jung hurriedly agreed, drove his coffee cart, and drove the Mubi through the suburbs of the chrysanthemums in full bloom. The coffee cart breaks down in the middle of the road, but Jung is not discouraged. This is the first time Mubi has taken the initiative to meet him. Mubi mentioned that Jung left without a word from Vietnam last year. She guessed that the reason was her brother. If it was before, Mubi would definitely stay away from Jung because she was afraid to enter a relationship, afraid that her long-held hopes would be extinguished. But now, Mubi's sincere gaze, confessing her love to Jung, she has liked Jung for a long time. The moment the words ended, Jung didn't hesitate anymore, walked over to hug and kiss Mubi. After the kiss that determined their feelings, Mubi and Jung officially became lovers. Since that day, Mubi has been radiant every day, with a cheerful spirit. Jung is still naughty as ever, telling Mubi not to call him by his name, but to call him a baby. Mubi refuses to accept it, but deliberately leaves the house earlier so that she can walk around the neighborhood with Jung before going to work. Jung is even more proactive, going to Mubi's mother's pork shop, publicizing that she is dating Mubi. Mubi's mother asked Jung what his flaws were, and Jung answered honestly, sometimes he thinks a little too much and often doesn't know how to iron himself. Mubi's mother heard this and told Jung to remember to go to her butcher shop often, and she could confide in her at any time. While Jung finds true love again, Sijuan and Dua still can't untie the tears in their hearts. The two of them ate noodles together, and Sijuan recalled the old story. In his impression, every time he went to the noodle shop, Dua ordered rice. Dua said that she likes to eat noodles, but because she eats hot very poorly, Sijuan ate very quickly, so she ordered rice because she didn't let him wait long. Dua immediately remembered the past. In 7 years of love, she did a lot of things she didn't like, just because he loves Sijuan and wants to follow him. Sijuan was lost in thought. Why did such a deep love disappear overnight? Dua only said that time can erase everything, the old story is over. Sijuan's eyes were sad, not knowing whether to agree with his ex's words. In the evening, Mubi and Jung talk on the phone, mentioning Jung's brother. Because he wants to take care of his only brother in the world, Jung always tries to be patient, restrained, even heartwarming. Mubi immediately comforted. If she felt tired, Jung could come to her to get a little angry at any time, but don't keep it in her heart anyway. Recently, Jung's brother often faints or drowsiness. After examination, it was found that his cardiopulmonary function was gradually declining. If it's severe, it can lead to a logout. After hesitating, the older brother told Jung the truth, while not forgetting to comfort his younger brother. Maybe the doctor saw that he didn't go to the doctor regularly, so he threatened him. Although he comforted his younger brother in his mouth, recently, his brother's expression was very different from before. Rarely do he invite his younger brother, Mubi, and Jongo to eat together. Suddenly invite your younger brother to take a walk in the car or laugh out loud with your younger brother to watch a movie in the yard. The older brother seems more optimistic, but Jung knows it's all fake. Sure enough, one evening, my brother suddenly suggested that he wanted to travel far away with him. It is best to go to Hollywood, where my brother loves to travel on his own. Jung was not worried about his brother's health, but only spoke slowly, telling his brother not to rush. The brother hurriedly searched for flight information again. He was very worried if there was any uncertainty, hoping that his brother would temporarily accept his wishes. Jung heard this and said the words in his heart. He knew very well the uncertainty that his brother was talking about was the substance. If the divine spirit comes, the brother hopes that at least before that, the younger brother has enough psychological preparation. In his grief, he became angry, given that his brother only cares about his own security. He didn't think at all about whether a younger brother like him could accept the quality of his relatives or not. The brother was silent, and Jung cried while asking his brother how many years he had been doing. Have you ever thought about living well? Jung soon realizes that his brother doesn't seem to have any attachment to this world. No close friends, no girl I like. There is also no personal liking or desire to fulfill, as if there has never been a desire to live. Faced with his brother's question, his brother still couldn't answer. Jung looked at him seriously, even though his brother thought of the substance. I will also do everything to save him. As for Jung, his brother is a relative who has promised to protect him. After Jung turned to leave, his brother stood behind him with tears in his eyes. On that rainy night, Jung stood in front of the movie, still trying to laugh, pretending to be optimistic. The next day, Jung took his brother's luggage to the hospital, accidentally discovering his brother's diary. So he secretly read his brother's confidant diary. After his parents died, his brother thought he no longer had the will to survive, until his younger brother grabbed his hand, crying and calling him. At that moment, for the first time, my brother had his own will, the will to live well. Because he wanted to take care of his younger brother, he went to the factory to work. Every day he works hard, even giving up his private life. For him, all the time in his life is spent with his younger brother. The first time I watched a movie with my younger brother, taught my younger brother to ride a bicycle, and went to school to participate in a parent meeting. For my brother, every moment in his brother's growth process is extremely precious. It's true that 5 years ago my brother had bad thoughts. It was a secret that he wanted to keep from his brother. After waking up, his brother only hopes to be able to start from scratch and live a new life with his brother. After reading his brother's diary, he cried incessantly. In my mind, the image of my brother attending his graduation ceremony many years ago appeared. Unfortunately, life does not always meet people's expectations. The body still comes. Not long after, his brother died of illness, and the brothers promised to travel together. Gyung was ultimately unable to do so. After losing his brother, Gyung is still safe and sound, still talking movies, in love with Mubi, saying witty words like before. Life is still going on normally without any turbulence. But from time to time, Mubi still noticed that the Jung often sat alone. The gaze lacked brilliance, thus losing a precious treasure of life. To make myself less sad, pretend that nothing happened to the ghost director's studio, deliberately talking about movies with him. The ghost director saw through the falsehood of the Gyung, but did not hesitate, but laughed and joked with him. Dua already knew about Mubi and Gyung falling in love, asking her to take care of Gyung. According to Dua, there is a maturity in the heart that is not commensurate with age. So we often care more about others than we rely on them. Mubi was even more worried about Gyung, waiting for her boyfriend at the door every night. Every time, Gyung obediently texted Mubi, always telling him peace, good night, so everything was normal. Until one morning, Mubi suddenly discovered that he had slept in the car all night, immediately realized that he hadn't gone home to sleep at all recently. Gyung looked sad. He was very afraid to go home because the house was now empty. There was no brother next to him. But immediately afterwards, in front of Mubi, Gyung still pretended that nothing happened, lying that I'm gonna go to bed tonight. Just like the ghost director, Mubi did not expose this lie. Sure enough, in the evening, Mubi saw that Gyung was still hiding in the car, grieving alone. Seeing this, Mubi walked into the car, didn't ask any questions, just quietly lay down next to the crane, silently beside him. Hopefully tomorrow the Hyung will take her home with him. Gyung agreed, and the next day, standing in front of his door, Gyung hesitated to enter. Suddenly, Mubi squeezed in, carrying a pillow and personal belongings on her body. Around this time, she will stay at her boyfriend's house. Before going to work, Mubi did not forget to tell Hyung, who works from home, remember to cook soy sauce soup for her, as if she is getting used to married life. Facing this somewhat arbitrary girlfriend, he was dumbfounded, silently lamented about Mubi's rapid speed of love. In the evening, Mubi got off work with a looking expectant expression. Unexpectedly saw her boyfriend's house dark. The lights were out. Mubi was worried, and hurriedly called and searched, when she saw a candlestick appear. It turned out that the house was blacked out, the boyfriend was fine, and Mubi almost burst into tears again. She was really afraid that the insecurity in her heart would become a reality. In the dark, Mubi blew out the candle, walked closer to the GHI, and said softly, "Young, I'm not lonely, at least I have you, forever with me." A simple sentence, but it was like a lifeline in the dark, pulling the crane out of the carpet. In that moment, the pain of losing a loved one seems to be drowned out by a larger emotion. In the humid air, Mubi and Young held hands, kissed, and hugged each other. For them, the harmony of the soul at this time is the most romantic movie in the world. The first night Mubi moved in, Young finally got his first good sleep in many days. When he woke up to see his girlfriend next to him, he suddenly felt peaceful in his heart. Early in the morning, Mubi was still sleepy, and hurriedly kissed her. Mubi suddenly wished for a star, muttering that she wanted to live at her boyfriend's house forever. Thanks to the encouragement and companionship of her lover, Young began to try to clean the house. Taking his wheelchair, his brother's drum was taken to the trash to be thrown away. Seeing this, Dong-hoo used his example to advise Ging slowly. There was a time, every time before surgery, Dong-hoo wrote a will. The more he wrote the will, the more handsome Dong-hoo became with the quality. On the contrary, the more sad his mother became. Dong-hoo realizes that the real destructive substance is not the person who is about to be destroyed, but their relatives and friends. Therefore, there is no need to rush to forget the grief. The person who lives can just take it slowly. At the bar where Si-jun worked, Young learned that his brother used to go to the bar when he was alive to drink a few drinks. Young had never known this little secret of his brother. Si-jun reminds him, brother, how to live life is his choice, and Young also needs to live his own life well. Having broken up for 5 years, the Si-jun boy still remembers his ex-lover forever. Time and time again, the melon string in love. The affection is so vague and unstoppable. As for his own life, both Si-jun and Dua are insiders, and the passion does not escape. One night, Du stayed up late to fix the script, but still couldn't grasp the most important inspiration. It seems that there is a lack of an indispensable existence next to it. In a sad mood, Dua went to the bar where Si-jun worked. Si-jun was still trying to appear strong, but 2 glances realized that he was not well, immediately helped him with acupressure and said warm words of encouragement. It's been a long time since they broke up, but Dua still remembers a lot of Si-jun's habits. Behind the Si-jun are bottles of wine sent back by customers, most of which belong to couples. But in years, Si-jun had never seen any couple come back to get their wine. Apparently, the couples who didn't come to get the wine, most of them broke up. Si-jun is pessimistic about this, saying that the remaining bottles of wine will not be picked up by any couples. Dua didn't believe it, trying to insist that lovers after a breakup could still come back. So, the 2 of them fought with each other. Unexpectedly the next night, a couple actually came to retrieve their bottle of wine. The couple explained that they went through a breakup, eventually got back together and were about to get married. In the face of his extreme defeat, Si-jun was not disappointed, and the remaining affection for Dua in his heart cannot be concealed. Maybe he and Dua can also be like this couple. After breaking up, they can still start over. He gave up this hope. After thinking carefully, Si-jun finally mustered up all his courage. Take the opportunity to text Dua. Receiving the message, Dua quickly appeared. She wanted to be the first listener to Si-jun's new song. Faced with his ex-lover who still had emotional problems, Si-jun couldn't help but want to probe the other person's mind. Are they now completely over, or are they getting back together? Faced with Si-jun's question, Dua's memories are dragged back to many years ago. Since his school days, Dua has been Si-jun's most loyal fan. In her eyes, Si-jun's musical talent, perseverance with dreams, like starlight, made people vibrate. Si-jun too, for him, the bright Dua is the star who follows him. Because of Dua's existence, Si-jun is even more eager to prove his talent. At that time, in order to fulfill his promise to Dua, Si-jun began to compose commercial advertising songs. Used the money he earns to buy a computer for Dua, hoping to let his girlfriend see a better Si-jun. Now, Si-jun confessed his heart to Dua. 5 years ago, he weighed the past and couldn't forget the past. Without waiting for Dua to reply, Si-jun took the initiative to ask to date Dua again 3 times. Because of the first date after 5 years of separation, Sejun was especially well-dressed and held hands on the date. Dua hesitated a little but didn't let go. Today, after 5 years, the two of them listened to music together at the record store, walked in the sun. It's as vague as time back to the most beautiful years before. Because of this wonderful feeling, not long after, Sejun proposed a second date. But this time, Dua chose to go to Sejun's office, listen to the latest song he composed for the movie and praise Sejun's talent as before. Sejun showed impatience again, declaring that he realized that he had no talent and was going to give up on his musical dreams. What makes Dua even sadder is that Sejun blames her for her failure. Thinking that it was all because of the past many years of his heart, he had vague expectations about reality. Faced with Sejun's selfishness, Dua shed tears and expressed the wetness in her heart. 7 years of love, she has tried to cheer for Sejun, but Sejun has never cared about her feelings. Compared to his lofty musical dreams and self-esteem, her existence was too small. Dua said that it hit Sejun's black heart. These days, what Sejun strives to find is his past self. He used to worship him as an idol. Hearing this, Sejun shed tears. Yes, he was so eager to go back in time, forever stopping at the day he was abandoned by his girlfriend but forgetting how the future path should go. In the midst of sobbing, Dua came over to wipe Sejun's tears and hugged him sincerely. Despite this moment, they both realized that their relationship was coming to an end. Mubi is in love and has also encountered trouble recently. She learns that the investor intends to withdraw capital from the film. When she got home, Mubi told her mother that she was going to give up filming this time. She will not be as stupid as her father in the past, despite the debt to make movies. Unexpectedly, when she heard that, she blamed Mubi, given that she should not give up her pride in cinema. Mubi has his own reasons. Her father was only used to pants on the set all his life. Due to the burden of the family, the responsibility of taking care of his daughter for his wife. Mubi still resents his father, disgusted with the name that looks like a movie. I swear that I don't want to live like my dad no matter what. The next day, Mubi went to the ghost director to confide. As a senior in the profession, director Ma's film was also stopped filming due to financial problems. Mubi had hoped to receive solace from his seniors. Unexpectedly, director Ma frankly said that he was fake. It's okay to shoot a little late, but Mubi is still young. There are stories that only dare to be told liberally at a certain age. Director Ma's words touched Mubi's heart. Flipping through the script full of notes, Mubi remembered what her father had said. Her father once said that he made films because he had a story he wanted to show. Hiding his troubles, he came. For the past few days, he has not been able to contact his girlfriend. Yesterday, he happened to learn that Mubi's filming was in trouble. But in the car, he heard Korn swaying to the music, seemingly not worried about Mubi. He just felt that Mubi would definitely make an extremely romantic movie. In front of him, Mubi once again opened his heart, saying that she chose to make romantic films because she had lost her beloved, longing to be loved. In the car, Mubi tells Kyung her secret. When she was a child, because her father loved movies too much, she paid little attention to her, and Mubi often pretended not to know her father. Growing up, the father and son became more and more distant. One day, his father called back, and he said that he would go home with his daughter tomorrow to celebrate his birthday. Faced with his father's repeated apologies on the other end of the line, Mubi said in anger, "Unless you immediately quit filming and go home, you'll never believe me again." Mubi didn't expect that her father had actually left everything to go home. But it was also at that time that a car accident suddenly struck. Mubi blamed herself, feeling that she was indirectly harming her father. Listening to Mubi's story, Kyung silently held his girlfriend's hand, quietly beside him. The companionship of Kyung always makes Mubi feel secure. Mubi also confides his secret to the Hayoung. After discovering that his brother had bad thoughts, he didn't ask right away, but pretended not to know anything. Just because he was worried that his brother did this, he wanted to get rid of him. Mubi listened but breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that life was much more turbulent and difficult than the movie. However, Mubi and Kyung are ready to face a difficult life. The next morning, the Jung returned full of flowers to Mubi's mother, and also helped her plant flowers. In front of Mubi's mother, Kyung promised that from now on he would not think about it anymore. He will not endure the sorrows in his heart by himself. Mubi's mother remembers, if Mubi has something to confide in, remember to listen patiently. Before leaving, Mubi's mother left her hot rice. As Kyung said, Mubi depends more on her mother than on her appearance. In the evening, Mubi sat in the yard waiting for her mother to come home. When it comes to her father, in the eyes of Mubi's mother, her husband is a clumsy but no less lovely man. The perseverance in making films at that time was actually to let the daughter see a father who never gave up. Mubi's mother always knew that her daughter, although cold on the outside, had a personality similar to her father, always kind and warm. Therefore, I hope Mubi will not give up on cinema, but be brave like her father. Mubi's mother continued to tell her that her father's passing was not her fault. After listening, Mubi cried like rain. She always acted like a child, thinking that no one loved her. Finally, I realized that the person who loved me the most was always by my side. In her mother's arms, the tears in Mubi's heart over the years were finally resolved. At the same time, she is determined to find all ways to solve capital difficulties for the film. Earlier, Mubi had contacted Sherzuin. She listened to the soundtrack composed by Sherzuin, which was very good. That's one of the reasons why she can't give up this movie. Even though he calmly talked to Sherzuin, he still hoped that he wouldn't give up on his dream easily. Sherzuin was no longer stubborn and nodded slightly. Music is the same, the story is the same. There must be an ending that brings out the soul for people to be committed. A few days ago, the owner of the bar where Sherzuin worked told him that the result of love is not marriage or being together for 100 years, but love itself. If you have ever experienced a deep love, even if your fate is over, there is nothing to regret. Now, Sherzuin shyly followed Zua, promising her that from now on she would rearrange their relationship. Although the past is continuous, uneasy about the future, but such an ending does not seem to be bad. Seeing Sherzuin crying like a child, Zua approaches, giving him a goodbye kiss. The past is very good, and the future will not be bad. Sherzuin understood, gradually stopped crying, turned his back and walked away in solitude. From now on, he will face his own life alone. Jung is also trying to make peace with the past. In order to break up with her brother completely, Jung sold her most precious collection of movie tapes to Zongu. When the tapes in the house were sold out, the house suddenly became much more empty. The sunshine was beautiful, and that afternoon, Jung had a beautiful dream. He dreamed of his brother walking towards him, talking to him in a normal tone. Jung promises to live happily, hoping that his brother will visit him from time to time in his dreams. Under the warm light, the brother hugged Jung, quietly comforting his beloved brother as before. Since his brother appeared in the dream, Jung slept very well. The next day, at the bus stop, Jung gives Mubi a piece of corn. Mubi is still worried about the budget for the film, and Jung playfully tells the story of selling videos to make money. Previously, his goal was to watch all the movies in the world. Now he feels that movies are just the condensation of life. Every frame, every moment of reality is worth cherishing and pursuing. A year later, Jung started looking for a job, and when he interviewed, he was still as optimistic as before. At this time, Mubi has overcome financial difficulties. The film was released smoothly. The box office is not good, but it received many praises, marking her transformation from commercial films to art films. The soundtrack produced by Sejuin is even more popular than the movie. Thanks to a piece of music, the famous Sejuin finally pays off. When Zua's version is defeated by Sejun's soundtrack, she feels discouraged and begins to compose more actively. Occasionally, Sejuin sees Zua listening to music in the record store, but doesn't bother her anymore. Jong, who began to move in with Jung. Mubi and her mother often go to the house opposite to barbecue and relax, as if they have become a family with Jung. Jung is like a picture with a shadow, following Mubi to the set to help. From now on, the main character in the movie of his life is only a Mubi. In his spare time on the set, Jung always likes to play with Mubi, likes to hide in a certain corner to kiss her. Perhaps movies on the screen are always limited in genres, but the romantic drama of Mubi and Jung does not matter the duration, it does not matter the genre. Sometimes it's a funny comedy, sometimes it's warm and touching, like this windy, bittersweet life. The movie is over. Thank you for paying attention. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to watch more great movies. Hello and see you soon.